Rain fell over the ancient streets of Blackmere like silver threads pulled from the sky. The city had stood for more than 1,000 years beside the cold northern sea, its towers wrapped in fog and mystery. Travelers often said Blackmere was alive. They claimed the narrow alleys whispered secrets at night and the old stone walls remembered every soul that had ever passed through them. Most people laughed at those stories. But 17-year-old Elias' heart never laughed. He had grown up in the poorest district of the city, where broken rooftops leaked during storms and the scent of salt and smoke drifted endlessly through the air. Elias worked in a tiny clockmaker's shop owned by an old man named Cedric. Every day he repaired rusted gears and polished silver watches while dreaming about escaping Blackmere forever. The city felt like a cage to him. Every evening, after the shop closed, Elias climbed to the rooftop and stared toward the sea. Beyond the dark horizon, he imagined distant kingdoms filled with sunlight, forests, and freedom. Blackmere had none of those things. It had only endless rain, cold streets, and rumors. Especially rumors about the underground tunnels beneath the city. People spoke about hidden passages older than Blackmere itself. Some believed forgotten kings once walked there. Others claimed monsters lived in the darkness below. Children dared each other to search for the tunnels, but very few ever did. One stormy night, everything changed. Cedric handed Elias a strange bronze key. "I've hidden this for many years," the old man whispered. "Now it belongs to you." Elias frowned. "What does it open?" Cedric looked toward the window nervously. "A door that should never be opened again." Before Elias could ask another question, loud knocks thundered against the shop door. Cedric's face turned pale. "They found me," he muttered. The door burst open, and 3 men dressed in black coats stepped inside. Their silver masks reflected the candlelight like ghostly faces. Elias had never seen them before, but fear instantly gripped his chest. "The boy," one of them said coldly. "Bring him." Cedric grabbed Elias by the shoulders. "Run to the underground tunnels. Find the clock tower beneath the city. Don't trust anyone." "What's happening?" "There's no time." Cedric pushed Elias toward the back door just as one of the masked men drew a sword. Elias ran. Rain soaked his clothes as he sprinted through the narrow streets. Behind him echoed footsteps and shouting voices. His heart pounded violently. He clutched the bronze key tightly while racing toward the abandoned marketplace near the harbor. Cedric once told him there was an entrance to the tunnels hidden beneath an old fountain. Elias reached the fountain and searched desperately. His fingers brushed against loose stone. He pushed it aside and discovered iron stairs descending into darkness. Without hesitation, he climbed down. The air below smelled ancient and wet. Water dripped from cracked ceilings while distant echoes rolled through the tunnels. Elias lit a small lantern he carried in his bag and moved deeper underground. The city above disappeared behind him. For hours he wandered through endless passages carved into black stone. Strange symbols covered the walls. Some looked like stars. Others resembled eyes watching from the darkness. Eventually he reached a massive underground chamber. At its center stood a gigantic clock tower. Elias stared in disbelief. The tower stretched upward so far its top vanished into darkness. Thousands of gears moved slowly inside its glass walls. Golden lights flickered deep within the machinery like trapped stars. "It's real," Elias whispered. A voice suddenly answered from behind him. "Yes. And now they know you found it." Elias spun around and raised his lantern. A girl about his age stepped from the shadows. She wore a dark green cloak and carried a curved dagger at her belt. Her black hair was soaked from rainwater, and sharp gray eyes studied him carefully. "Who are you?" Elias asked. "My name is Lyra." "How did you get here?" "I could ask you the same question." Before Elias replied, distant voices echoed through the tunnels. The masked men had followed him. Lyra cursed under her breath. "We need to move." She led Elias across the chamber toward a hidden staircase inside the clock tower. The enormous gears groaned as they climbed higher and higher through the ancient structure. Finally they entered a circular room filled with maps, books, and glowing blue crystals. "What is this place?" Elias asked. Lyra closed the door behind them. "The heart of Blackmere." Elias laughed nervously. "You're insane." "No," she replied quietly. "But your city is built on secrets." She pointed toward the center of the room where a giant mechanical sphere rotated slowly above the floor. "This machine controls the barriers protecting Blackmere from the sea." Elias frowned. "Barriers?" Lyra walked toward a dusty window. Beyond the glass, deep beneath the city, Elias saw something impossible. An ocean. Massive black waves crashed against invisible walls surrounding Blackmere underground. "The city should have sunk centuries ago," Lyra explained. "The barriers hold the sea back. But they're failing." Elias stared speechless. "Your key," Lyra continued, "can restart the machine." "How do you know?" "Because my family protected this place for generations." Another loud sound echoed below. The masked men had entered the tower. Lyra grabbed a sword from the wall and handed Elias a smaller blade. "I don't know how to fight," he said. "You'll learn quickly." Footsteps thundered up the stairs. The door exploded open. The masked men rushed inside. Elias barely dodged the first attack. Sparks flew as steel clashed against steel. Lyra moved like lightning, blocking strikes and forcing two enemies backward. But there were too many. One masked man grabbed Elias and slammed him against the wall. "The key," the man hissed. Elias struggled desperately. His hand brushed against the bronze key in his pocket. Suddenly the entire tower trembled. The key began glowing bright gold. All the gears inside the tower started spinning faster. The masked men froze. A deep mechanical sound echoed through the chamber like the awakening of some ancient giant. Then the walls lit up with flowing blue energy. The man holding Elias released him in terror. "What did you do?" Lyra shouted. "I don't know." The sphere at the center of the room opened slowly, revealing a keyhole surrounded by glowing symbols. Elias understood instantly. He stepped forward and inserted the bronze key. For one terrible second, nothing happened. Then the entire underground city erupted with light. The barriers surrounding the ocean strengthened once more. The violent waves calmed. The giant machinery roared back to life after centuries of decay. Outside the tower, ancient bells rang through the darkness. The masked men fled in panic. Elias collapsed to his knees, exhausted. Lyra smiled for the first time. "You saved Blackmere." "But why were they chasing me?" Lyra's expression darkened. "Because some people wanted the city to drown." Days later, Blackmere changed forever. Citizens woke to find the fog gone for the first time in decades. Sunlight touched the towers and streets. People celebrated in markets and filled the harbor with music. Yet few knew the truth hidden beneath their feet. Elias returned to Cedric's shop, only to discover the old man had vanished. The only thing left behind was a note. "The city chose you, Elias. Protect it well." Months passed. Elias and Lyra became guardians of the underground tower. Together they explored forgotten tunnels, uncovered ancient secrets, and defended Blackmere from dangers hidden in the shadows. And every evening, Elias still climbed to the rooftops. But now, when he looked across the sea, he no longer dreamed of escaping the city. Because Blackmere was no longer a cage. It was home.